conference room on Station Meridian 7 was filled with the most powerful financial minds in the known galaxy. Representatives from 43 different species sat in their specialized atmospheric pods, each one a master of galactic economics. The Galactic Banking Consortium had existed for 12,000 years, and in all that time, they had never called an emergency session quite like this one. High Chancellor Rex Moulton, a towering being with crystalline skin that shifted colors with his emotions, stood at the central podium. His body currently glowed a deep purple, indicating his confusion. He held a data tablet in his four-fingered hands and stared at it like it contained some kind of dangerous secret. "My fellow council members," he began, his voice resonating through the translation systems. "We have gathered here today because our Economic Analysis Division has discovered something deeply troubling about the newest species to join galactic civilization." A murmur rippled through the assembled bankers. The humans had joined the galactic community only 50 standard years ago. They were considered a young species, barely out of their planetary cradle. Most Consortium members had dismissed them as financially primitive. What could possibly be troubling about the humans? Asked Delegate Shrix, a fluid being contained within a hovering sphere. Their economy is tiny. Their total planetary wealth would not even rank in our top 10,000 civilizations. Rex Moulton's skin flickered orange with frustration. "That is precisely the problem, Delegate. Their economy should be tiny. By all standard calculations, they should still be struggling with basic interstellar trade. But in the last 50 years, they have achieved economic growth that our models cannot explain." He pressed a button on his tablet, and a holographic display appeared above the central table. It showed a growth curve that shot upward at an almost vertical angle. This is human economic expansion over the past 5 decades. They have developed 17 new faster-than-light propulsion systems, created 32 revolutionary medical technologies, established successful colonies on 91 worlds, and built a merchant fleet that now rivals the Thraxian Empire. The room fell silent. The Thraxian Empire had been building their merchant fleet for 3,000 years. "That is impossible," stated Financial Minister Goroth, a large insectoid being whose species controlled most of the galaxy's raw material markets. "No civilization can grow that fast. They must be hiding some form of economic manipulation. Perhaps they discovered a cache of precursor technology. We investigated that possibility," Rex Moulton replied. "Our agents found nothing. The humans achieved all of this through their own efforts. But how they did it violates every principle of sound financial practice that the Consortium has developed over millennia." He changed the holographic display to show a complex diagram of financial flows. "The humans have a system they call venture capital. At first, our economists thought they misunderstood it. They asked the humans to explain it again. Then again. After the 7th explanation, our lead economist, mathematician Prime Zeloth, had to take medical leave due to stress. "What is so stressful about a financial system?" asked Delegate Shrix. Rex Moulton's skin turned a sickly yellow color. "The humans give money to projects that will probably fail." Dead silence filled the room. Several delegates checked their translation devices, certain they had malfunctioned. "Could you repeat that, High Chancellor?" asked Minister Goroth. "The humans have investors who specifically seek out high-risk projects. Ideas that have perhaps a 10% chance of success, sometimes even lower. And they fund these projects, knowing that most of them will lose all the invested money." A delegate from the Merchant Collective of Orcs stood up so quickly that his atmospheric pod nearly tipped over. "That is insanity. That is the definition of financial incompetence. Why would any rational being throw away resources on failure?" "Because," Rex Moulton said slowly, "when one of those projects succeeds, it succeeds so spectacularly that it pays for all the failures combined and still generates massive profit." He pulled up another display showing case studies. This human named Alara Chun started with nothing but an idea for a new quantum communication system. Traditional galactic banking would never have funded her. The technology was unproven. The market was uncertain. The chance of failure was estimated at 87%. Any sensible institution would reject such a proposal, confirmed Minister Goroth. A human venture capital firm gave her 3 million credits. Her project succeeded. That communication system now handles 40% of all data traffic in 3 galactic sectors. The initial investment has returned over 900,000%. The numbers hung in the air like an accusation. This cannot be a consistent strategy, argued Delegate Shrix. One success does not prove a system. Rex Moulton smiled grimly and displayed thousands of entries. We studied 400 years of human venture capital history, from before they even left their home planet. The pattern is consistent. They fund hundreds of wild ideas. Most fail, but the ones that succeed create entirely new industries, new technologies, new markets that no one imagined before. He highlighted several entries: artificial intelligence, reusable spacecraft, portable computing devices, genetic medicine. All of these were once considered impossible by traditional human financial institutions. All of them were funded by venture capitalists who were willing to lose their investment completely. A Kralossian delegate, whose species had invented conservative investment strategies, spoke up with a trembling voice. But the psychological damage. The Consortium has always taught that failed investments represent character failure. How do the humans handle so much loss? They have a phrase, Rex Moulton replied. They call it fail fast, learn faster. When a project fails, the humans do not hide in shame. They analyze what went wrong, take the lessons, and immediately try something else. Some of their most successful investors have funded dozens of failures before achieving success. This is madness, whispered Minister Goroth. Perhaps, but it is effective madness. Rex Moulton brought up the final display. Our economic modelers ran simulations comparing Consortium standard investment practices with human venture capital methods over 1,000-year period. The graph showed 2 lines. The Consortium line rose steadily and predictably, a gentle slope upward. The human line zigzagged wildly, sometimes crashing down, sometimes shooting up, but its overall trajectory was dramatically steeper. Over a millennium, standard Consortium methods would increase total economic output by approximately 300%. The human method, despite its failures, would increase output by over 4,000%. The room erupted in chaos. Delegates shouted at each other. Several demanded the data be reviewed. One ancient being from a species known for their emotional control actually fainted. When order was finally restored, Rex Moulton continued. There is more. We analyzed why Consortium species have never developed this approach, despite its apparent effectiveness. The answer is disturbing. We are too afraid of failure, he said quietly. Every species in this room has developed financial systems designed to minimize risk. We consider failed investments to be shameful. Our cultures teach that losing money is a moral failure. So we only fund projects that are almost certain to succeed. He paused to let that sink in. But by only funding safe projects, we only achieve safe results. We never create the breakthrough technologies that transform civilizations. Those ideas are too risky for us to consider. Minister Goroth's mandibles clicked nervously. Are you suggesting that we have been holding ourselves back for 12,000 years? I am suggesting exactly that. The humans have been part of galactic civilization for half a century. In that time, they have created more genuine innovations than the Consortium species have achieved in 5 centuries. And they did it by embracing something we fear above all else. Failure, said Delegate Shrix. Not just failure. The possibility of spectacular, complete, total failure. They pursue ideas that could destroy careers and bankrupt investors. And they do it with enthusiasm. A young delegate from a newly admitted species raised a manipulator appendage. Could we adopt human methods? Rex's molten skin shifted through several colors before settling on a troubled gray. That is the most disturbing part of our study. We tried to model how Consortium species would adapt to venture capital practices. The results suggest that our psychological and cultural frameworks are incompatible with accepting such high levels of risk. It would require fundamental changes to how we think about success and failure. He looked around the room at the assembled masters of galactic finance. The humans do not see failure as the opposite of success. They see it as a step towards success. They genuinely believe that every failed attempt teaches them something valuable. They have a saying, "Every master was once a disaster, so we cannot beat them," stated Minister Goroth flatly. Not with our current approach. The humans will continue to out-innovate us. Their willingness to fund crazy ideas means they will discover things we never will. Their tolerance for failure means they will try things we would never attempt. A heavy silence fell over the Consortium. These beings controlled more wealth than many civilizations would ever see. They had shaped galactic economics for longer than some species had existed. And now they faced a truth that challenged everything they believed. "What do you recommend, High Chancellor?" asked Delegate Shrix. Rex Moulton set down his tablet. "I recommend we start studying failure. Not how to avoid it, how to use it. The humans have turned losing into a tool for winning. If we wish to remain relevant in the coming millennium, we must learn to do the same. That will not be easy," said Minister Goroth. "No, it will be terrifying. It will require us to fund projects that will probably fail, to lose money on purpose, to celebrate our mistakes as learning opportunities. Everything in our nature will resist this change." He looked at the growth charts one final time. "But the alternative is watching the humans surpass us all. 50 years ago, they were a primitive species barely worthy of notice. In another 50 years, at their current rate of growth, they will be an economic superpower. In a century, they could dominate galactic trade. All because they are not afraid to lose," whispered a delegate in the back. "All because they understand something we forgot long ago," Rex Moulton corrected. "Progress requires risk. Innovation requires failure. And the greatest successes come from trying the impossible." He dismissed the holographic displays. "This emergency session is concluded. Each of you should return to your home systems and consider what we have discussed. The Galactic Banking Consortium has survived for 12,000 years by being careful. But careful might not be enough anymore." As the delegates filed out of the conference room, many of them cast thoughtful glances at the windows showing the stars beyond. Somewhere out there, human venture capitalists were probably funding another impossible project right now. Another crazy idea that would probably fail. But one of them might change the galaxy. And that possibility, the Consortium members were beginning to understand, was worth any number of failures.